When we moved into this 1960s fixer a few years ago, we had about 1,001 projects to tackle. So for our entryway staircase, we threw on this runner as a quick fix and then moved on to more pressing projects. But after finishing a living room, a kitchen, bedrooms, bathrooms, a playroom, and even our home office, it's finally time to move on to our entryway staircase because it's looking dated, dirty, and it's starting to fall apart. So this week, we'll be taking out the old railing that was not up to code.
This is not up to code.
Removing the tired stair runner and giving this staircase a gorgeous custom makeover so that it matches our existing flooring and the rest of our house. So join us for the adventure as we get really sweaty.
That was hard. I'm like breathing hard.
Make new friends at Lowe's, and Andrea gets way too excited about this staircase makeover.
That's so crazy. It looks so good. All right, today we are finally tackling these stairs. I feel like this has been on my list since we bought this house because this railing has been like this ever since we moved in, and this is not up to code. You're only supposed to have 4 inches between your railing spindles, but since this only goes partway up, I didn't worry too much about it over the years, although when we had toddlers, this was a little bit stressful and we always had our stairs blocked off. Plus, this runner has definitely lived its life. It's starting to unravel, and if you look closely, it is just really dirty and nasty and not an easy style of rug to clean. So we're gonna be ripping this all out and completely redoing the stairs, and I'm so excited. So for step 1, we're gonna start by removing this railing. I have watched so many videos on how to repair a wobbly railing, and the way this is set up is not very easy. It would be better if this was all the way up against this, because then I could put some large bolts in there, but it's not. And you can see how the previous owners tried to reinforce it by adding those little L brackets down here, which obviously hasn't worked. So since it's not up to code anyway, we're taking it out. We're starting from scratch. So some of these screws down here have a ton of dry paint on them. So I'm gonna spray a little bit of this Pro Strength Goof off to try and get some of the paint off, because I don't wanna risk stripping the screws and making this job like 100 times harder. As I attempted to remove these old screws, I made a really frustrating discovery. Like, who would do this? Why would you? So these are all teeny tiny flathead screws, and my flathead bit that I have is too big. And I don't think, I mean, it's literally getting zero traction at all. So these are already kind of mostly broken. I'm gonna see if I can get this out. Got it. Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to get all that off, but that's okay. I don't need it to be pretty, at least. I'm gonna be covering all of this up. Once I had the post attached, I moved on to removing the spindles and then the handrail.
Got it.
Got it.
Where are you taking all those baseball bats?
All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get all the little nails that are left, and then I'll try and tackle that mess at the bottom of the stairs. Pulling out all of the nails from the spindles was pretty easy, but I still had quite a task removing all of the screws on the bottom step. I feel like this is that's not coming out. There must be like a nut at the bottom of that, because it was just spinny. It's not just threaded into the wood, and so now they're down inside of there.
That's called the ram and jam method.
I finally gave up on getting these screws out the conventional way and ended up using a chisel to break them out. Once I had all the screws removed, I went ahead and vacuumed up the mess. Alright, it's time to get this runner up the stairs. Hopefully this is not too difficult, but I know there's a lot of staples in there, so let's see. Removing this runner proved to be a little bit more difficult and definitely a lot messier than anticipated. Oh, it's disgusting. I'm gonna go get gloves. 3 steps down, 10 more to go. That's so dirty. Partway up the stairs, I had to call in reinforcements because this was wearing me out. You're gonna switch for a little bit and I'll start pulling out all the staples. That is hard. I'm like breathing hard.
Give me these bad boys. Let me out. Gosh.
Yeah.
Flip-flops, the Texas work boot.
And finally, we had this old, dirty runner completely removed.
All right, now we only have about 10,000 staples to pull out. I'm gonna need your help on this or we're gonna be here all day. This part may not seem like much, but there are literally over 1,000 of these staples, and this ended up being one of the most difficult parts of this project.
There is so many stinking staples, and this is just one step. Finally, it's a staple war zone.
Really quick, we want to say thanks to Floret for sponsoring today's video. Floret is a direct-to-consumer brand, meaning it cuts out the middleman, and the middleman costs and delivers high-quality flooring straight to your door. If you've shopped for flooring at all, you will quickly see that Floret's pricing is incredible for the quality that you're getting. Their Modern Luxury Vinyl Plank Collection, which is what we used in our house, as well as 2 other houses that we've redone, is 100% waterproof and comes with a 20 to 40 mil wear layer, which is almost triple the industry standard. They also have a newer hardwood collection that is absolutely beautiful, and it's 3 times harder than solid hardwood and topically waterproof, so it won't warp or bubble with spills like typical hardwood. If you've been following our videos the past few months, you know that we just replaced the flooring in our entire house with Floret's luxury vinyl plank in the color Kingswood. The wider planks of the signature line look so expensive, and the color and the grain is just perfect. When I first came across their matching stair treads that have this perfectly seamless look that I have never seen before with vinyl or laminate flooring, I started dreaming of making over our stairs. So I am extra excited about today's project. If you've been considering getting Floret floors but you're not sure what color to get, they have several great options to choose from, plus you can get a sample kit right now for half off with code DIYWifeFloret. I highly recommend getting flooring samples because, like paint, it can look totally different in different spaces depending on the light and the surroundings. So again, don't forget to use our code DIYWifeFloret to get half off any of their sample kits so you can test out the colors and see what looks best in your home. All right, with that, let's go ahead and jump back into today's project. All right, we finally got all those staples out, and I have blisters on the tips of some of my fingers. I guess I should have worn these. So it's time to start cleaning up our mess. I'm gonna start by taking out the old stair runner, and then I need to vacuum everything really good. It is so dusty. Even though we vacuumed these stairs pretty regularly, there was still a lot of dirt that accumulated under the runner over the years. I just got a C1 on there. Oh my gosh, that's gonna look so good. Obviously, we'll have to like cut it. These are the coolest things ever. I didn't even know stuff like this was made, but it literally like fits over the existing stair treads, and it looks so seamless, and it's the same as our flooring, so it matches perfectly. I'm so excited. It's gonna look so drastically different.
Alright, stair tread. See you in a bit.
After vacuuming, we realized there were still a number of staples that we had missed.
I vote we never do staples again.
While we were finishing up removing the staples, we had to take a quick pause and talk to somebody from the remediation company because there is still a lot of work happening back there to get that half of the house livable again. This has felt like a never-ending journey, and we are more than ready to get to move back into our bedroom. We finally got the last of the staples out, and then I gave it one last vacuum before moving on. Cleaning all of the stairs wasn't particularly difficult, but it did take a little bit of time. I feel like our house is gonna be so much cleaner. That was so gross. You ready to go to those?
Oh, sure. Dashy. Oh, I'm taking a little peek. It's looking a little different than it did when we remodeled it last year. Shall we move on to more encouraging things?
Alright, so hopefully this is going to be a quick low strip because I only need a couple of things. Like I said, I need to get adhesive because I'll glue down all of the stair treads, as well as new white risers that'll go like on the back part of the steps. Plus, I want to get a good cleaner and wipe everything down first, because usually with gluing things or painting things, you want a good clean surface, otherwise it's not going to adhere very well.
Whoa!
Woo! And we need to get some lunch. I'm hungry, man.
Oh, that's most important.
A low strip, a low strip. Every single day it's a low strip.
I talked to my friend in the plumbing department last night. I have a lot of longtime employees here who I was like, I guess I've been coming here for like 15 to 20 years now. But I was trying to talk to one of the managers that was at the back of the store and say, hey, we bought this toilet, a piece was broken, can I just get a replacement part on that? But he came up and he was like, hey, what do you need? Help her out, give her whatever she needs.
Nice.
He was like, yeah, she comes here all the time. She's been coming here for forever. I've helped her on other projects.
Dean?
Yeah, I used to be in plumbing years ago.
Okay, nice.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Take care.
See, told you.
So, very important question. Where to next?
Somebody suggested Chipotle and I was like, yes, that's what we need. Our kids are staying with grandparents right now, and so I haven't gone to the grocery store and our fridge is like empty. So I say we just go out for lunch.
I concur. So our kids are staying with grandparents for the week because we have the mold remediation happening and the stair project happening and part of the bathroom project happening. They're working on a project of their own with Gigi up there.
They're working their little tails off and I'm like, man, so proud of them. They're doing so great and looks like they're loving it.
So they're doing their own DIY project and it's looking pretty amazing. Plus, they're getting some swim coaching from Aunt Laura. And I mean, they're absolutely crushing it up there. And look how cute they are. Yes, let's do this.
We're back with full bellies. We're ready to go. Since the stairs are so dirty, I'm going to be using glue on them and I don't want to use any nails. I want to get these nice and clean so I can make sure that my adhesive will really bond. This is going to seem a little bit weird, but I'm actually going to start in the middle because that's where I'm going to start installing my stair steps first. So I want it to be the driest. That's why I'm starting there. Alright, so I finished the bottom half and now I'm ready to go up to the top. Alright, so I finished cleaning them all. It's already feeling pretty dry. I'm going to go grab a pack of the white risers just because I want to test everything out and make sure I'm not going to have to cut those down at all. And then hopefully we can get to measuring and making some cuts soon.
What's wrong?
Well, nothing's wrong. I'll just need to rip them down on the table saw so they don't hit this thing, which is fine.
It's not optimal.
Yeah, it's fine. I should have expected that. It's better that than too short. There's not that many of them, so I can just run them all through. I'll get the table saw set up and I'll run them all through. It's gonna look so good. Look how clean that would be.
And why test out one when you can test out two? She's going for another one. That smells so good.
It's gonna be like so clean. Alright, so I need to cut these down on the table saw. I want to test it out with one board first, but basically I want it to hit under the lip of the existing stair tread there so that it's not kind of leaning out at all. And so I'm gonna rip it down, we're gonna test it out, just make sure it fits. And then if it does, we'll keep going, we'll make a bunch of them.
And once again, we were reminded work on the stairs is not the only project that's going on in our house right now.
After ripping down one riser as a test piece, I brought it inside to see if it would fit. All right, it fits. That worked good, so I'm gonna go ahead and rip down all the rest of them. Maybe you can pull all the plastic off while I'm ripping them down.
Sure.
It is so hot, we gotta work quick. Because it was so hot outside, we decided to both work on this, and while I was ripping down the boards, Dean pulled the plastic off of each one. And for those of you who are new here, even when you don't see Dean working on the project like this with me, he's hard at work behind the camera or working on production. And this is how we work as a team to not only do these projects, but also capture them on film so that we can bring all of you along for the ride. All right, now that I have all of my riser boards ripped down to the correct height, I'm gonna go ahead and measure my width. Hopefully it's the same on like a few of them and I can cut several at a time, but I'm gonna install those first and then we'll start working on the steps after that.
Are they all the same?
No, these two are actually an eighth less. I'm gonna make some cuts. Once I had all of my measurements, I headed back outside and started making a lot of cuts. Alright, so I cut the risers for my first 6 steps here, the ones that go on the longer portion with the railing. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those now. And I got a different liquid nails for that, just because, I don't know, this one seemed like it would make sense. This is the kind for paneling, so it has a pretty strong initial grip, which I want to do since these are going to go on a vertical surface.
I like the technique here. Thank you guys. You know, it's just part of everyday life around here. We're doing a project on this side of the house. They're doing some mold remediation in the back of the house.
At least it's like in like a part of the house that's easy to, you know, quarantine away from everything so we can still live at home. After getting the first one installed, I continued the same process, applying a liberal amount of glue and then taping the riser in place. After I finished installing the risers on the bottom half of the stairs, I was ready to start focusing on installing the stair treads. I'm starting on my bottom steps since they're wider. That way, if I make a mistake on these, I can still use them for my top steps. So it seems like a safer place to like start and kind of practice a little bit. Did it. It's a little nerve-wracking. So I went ahead and measured the rest of my steps. They're all the same as this one. And so I'm gonna go cut 6 more of these pieces and then I can glue those in place and we'll start working on the more complicated end here. Once I get past these like 7 steps, the top ones are gonna be so easy. But these are a little bit more complicated because I have to have the end piece, but I still can't get over like how good this is gonna look. Okay, let's go make some cuts. Since all of the bottom treads were the same width, it made things relatively easy. I simply measured, marked, cut, and then repeated. Making my cuts, I brought them all inside and set them in place, and this was starting to look drastically different. That's so crazy. It looks so good. We're getting the hardest part done first too. These are the hardest part. I feel like I'm like, now that I'm going, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can't stop. All right, next, before I glue these down, I want to trim this little piece off because where it's at right now, I won't be able to wrap my edge piece around, because basically for the edges of this, I'm going to have one that goes here with the miter on each end, and then I'm going to have one that goes like a tiny piece right here to finish, to cap off the end of each of these steps. But right now this is in my way, so I'm going to get my little multi-tool and just try and cut like this, and hopefully it's not too hard to get it out of the way. But I don't want this glued down yet, because I want to be able to kind of move it a little bit.
Nice.
Alright, I'm going to do a really quick vacuum just on the areas where I just cut, just so there's no dust there when I glue it a little bit. Alright, next I'm going to measure for this little end cap piece, and it'll be the same on all of these since these stair treads are the exact same size. So once I figure out one, I want to create like a stop on my saw, so hopefully I can cut them kind of quickly. But I'm going to go practice with this one. If it fits, I'll cut all of them. So let's do that. Alright, so I think I got this right on my mark, but I didn't want to move it until I clamped this stop in place. So if this one is the exact right fit, then I can just butt every one after up to this thing without having to remeasure and readjust, because it is so hard to mark on these curved pieces and a miter cut. This seems like a much better solution. Let's go test it out. It's good. We're gonna go cut a bunch more. So we're gonna cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Let's go.
5 más.
Setting up a stop on my miter saw made it really easy to make all of these cuts and get them exact every time. Alright, so next I need to cut a tiny piece for right here. It's literally like 3/4 of an inch long. And so I'm gonna go set up in the same way that I did these. I'll make a stop after I get the first one done right, and then I'll cut several of them. After cutting my first piece, I brought it inside. I would say that's pretty darn good. And after confirming that it fit, I went back out and made the rest of my cuts. So I'm actually going to start on this step right here because I want to be able to work backwards and not be standing on my freshly glued step. And also I'm not doing this one yet because it's got a special cut around there and the cuts won't be the same as all these, so I'm going to focus on these that are all the same first, and then I'll do this one, and then I'll do all those, and those are going to feel like a piece of cake after all this. With all my pieces cut, it was time to glue everything in place, and this part was surprisingly therapeutic. Steps, I really got the hang of it and was able to move pretty quickly. Alright, I have the 6 hardest steps done, so that feels like it's all downhill for me. I have that one step that has like a special cut around it, so I'm going to do that one next, and then the rest are like really simple. Cut the width on the riser and on the tread, glue in place. That ought to go like really fast. I could probably do that in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
5 minutes.
Right.
Realizing just how good it is that our kids are not here, because this would be so stressful. Like I knew in my head that it was a good idea to have them not be here when we did the stairs. Yeah, that would have been like a nightmare. So. This next step was a bit unique as it was the first one where I needed to get out my jigsaw and cut around this portion of the wall. Next, I cut the end pieces for the stair tread, and with these glued in place, I was finished with all of the more complicated cuts on this stair project, and it should be pretty smooth sailing for the rest of it. All right, so I got all of these complicated steps done down here. Next, I need to measure for my risers on all of the top steps, and then measure for my steps up there, and then I'm gonna make a bunch of cuts, and it should go really fast.
I like the ginger walk. Nice.
Since this is an old house, I went ahead and measured each step because I knew there was a good chance that they wouldn't all be the same. Once I had all of the measurements, I headed back outside to make all of my final cuts. So I said I was cutting my risers first, but I'm cutting my steps first because that's what I grabbed. They'll be the same measurement, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so I need to go measure that one last riser at the top. It already has the transition peeps that ties into our flooring, so the height will be a little bit different, and then after I cut that piece, that will be everything, and I can just start gluing it all in place. Wow, this looks so good.
It looks like you're walking like you're trying to sneak out of the house or something.
Cut this one.
What?
I don't need to cut it. So the top step, or the rise for the top step, is actually higher. I just assumed I was gonna need to trim it, but I don't. So, great.
Okay.
All my boards cut, things started to move really fast, and I worked my way down the stairs, gluing everything in place. With all of the risers glued in place, all I had to do was glue down the rest of the stair treads, and this phase of the project would be complete.
All right. Long day?
Oh my gosh, that was a long day, but we did it. It looks so good. Like, I can't get over it. These edges here and the way it matches the floor. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired, but I'm happy. It looks good.
Man, how good do these stairs look? And I love the way that they match our flooring. It just looks so good.
Yeah, I have always loved the look of wood stairs, like when it matches the flooring perfectly, and I was so excited to get these installed because it looks so good.
And it was definitely a bit more work than we anticipated, not even installing the new stair treads, but demoing out all the old stuff with all the staples, with the carpet and the L bracket on the bottom step. It took a little bit of time, yeah?
Yeah, I actually still have blisters on some of my fingers that are healed, you know, and the skin's like peeling off, but that was no joke, pulling all those staples out. I will say my one concern with doing wood steps was that it would be too slippery for the kids, but we've had these in a couple of weeks now that we're actually like filming this part of it and publishing the video, and they have been great. Like, I think there's enough texture that they're not super slick, and we've had nobody slip and fall.
Yeah, it's
Hasn't
great.
been an issue, so.
So next for this project, we're gonna be doing a custom railing, but we're still waiting on the parts, so we don't know exactly how long that's gonna be because we've already waited a few weeks and they still haven't shown up.
I actually need to email them.
So you'll definitely wanna stay tuned and see if we can knock this thing out of the park or if it knocks us out of the park. But either way, we will catch you in the next video. Wide open spaces, hey. New guys. The trusted workbook of the DIY wife. New Balance, the trusted workbook of the DIY wife's cameraman. It's not a lot to film here. Oh, I think I see some of the measuring tape. There it is.
I kind of like the way these smell. My back hurts too bad. I'm just gonna have to sit like this.
What happened to your back?
We started lifting weights again, and I think I did too much.
You gotta take it easy, girl. So you'll definitely want to stay
Sorry, I was making
tuned.
a face when you started. I thought you... Go ahead.
This girl